Well, first and foremost, super excited to be here. I mean, it's been a couple of years since I've been able to get here. This has been a great opportunity for our staff to really kind of get in the weeds with each other. We just really kind of finalized this staff, and it's been a great op for us to be able to get into the weeds. We're really just we're working from Indy. We've taken our whole process, what we would be doing in Jacksonville right now, and taken that to Indy. And so, man, we're doing obviously some of the free agent meetings, going through the draft, and then also obviously doing some schemes, some football, and getting with the coaches. So it's been a great transition so far, and really really happy to be here.
Rookie breakout, Bucky, Irving, and kind of caught some people by surprise because he had Rashad White already on the roster. What did you see in Bucky, Irving, and running back position to kind of do that?
There's not many better people than Bucky in terms of the way his process went. I mean, he was one of the first guys in the building, 5 a.m., meeting with Tom Moore on our staff in terms of just getting some of that experience. He was one of the last guys to leave. So you saw a player that was already mature beyond his years. And then, okay, he comes in and has the impact that he had both in the run, the pass, got much better in the pass protection as the year went on, dynamic in space. Just have so much respect for Bucky, both as a competitor and as a person. Wish him nothing but the best, and hopefully we can continue to get some of that production out of the guys we have, because there are a lot of similarities there. Wow, that's a great one. The time you look at these quarterbacks specifically coming out in the last few years. Well, you're in Pop Warner football and you're in a no huddle shotgun system, and then you're in high school and you're in a no huddle shotgun system. Okay, you go to college. That may have been the case. We've got to have patience with these guys, because the communication piece that you miss with the no-huddle offenses, not to knock it, it's just, hey, we have to take that into consideration when we're going through the longevity of a quarterback's career. I think when you're ready to move on, I think that it's pretty clear to a lot of people in terms of the building, the staff, the players. If the cliff is falling off, it's typically something you can see with the naked eye, but it's more the development, the fundamentals, the technique. If that's all still there, then you can continue to win with that player.
When you went through all those quarterback
injuries,
how much you could kind of formulate how you tweak or change how you teach and how you coach?
That's a great question, because it really came up last year in a different way, right? We were decimated in 22. Last year we lose two of our best receivers in Tampa, and credit the process to just kind of, hey, put our heads down. It's our job as coaches to go play with the players that we have and be able to pivot. That was the learning experience that we had there, that we have to be able to pivot, be able to supplement that production maybe with a different group of players. It might be, Mike and Chris's production ended up having to become a little bit more, developed through the running back room, the tight end room, obviously the quarterback being able to play off schedule. So we learned so much from that year, and it was really just, do we have the ability to pivot and be able to kind of supplement some of that production through different avenues and different players? Yeah, Grant's a guy that I've followed now for the last few years, obviously being very close with Kevin in that process, understanding that it's a similar process in the way we do things, the way that we want to operate, the things that we're looking for throughout the work week, getting ahead of those things. He's an elite communicator, really, obviously, high-level intelligence, football IQ. He's all ball. Grant is all ball, no ego, rides around in the Honda CRV and just wants to live as close to the building as he can. And that's what's always stood out, is the ability, his passion for the game, and all you've ever heard is positive things about him. And you see in this past cycle how much he got and how much he was in. There was no surprise to me there.
We saw Brian Thomas Jr. getting really involved in the screen game.
Yeah.
On top of what he can do downfield. What do you think about his versatility as a receiver and what he can bring to your offense?
Yeah, that's a great one. He's so dynamic being able to move him around, where you saw him at LSU maybe not do some of those things, right? Where he was mostly outside, running more linear routes, vertical post, some overs, and then the stop. So the ability for him to snap down, get in the slot, be able to run some of the choice routes, looky routes, and then, oh, by the way, you can throw him a screen and he can go do something with it. Our pass game will run through him, and super excited to get to work with him.
I know it's on the defensive side of the ball in Tampa, but do you have any insight on Casey Rogers as a coach?
I have a ton of respect for Casey, first and foremost, as a man, as a leader. He had phenomenal communication skills within the building, just a steady Eddie, really just never too high, never too low. I know there was a ton of respect in that room for him. And then just up front, I mean, he's done a nice job over the course of the last few years, and having to, again, pivot with some injuries that we did have at the position up front. I think Casey's going to do a really good job in Detroit.
Your plan to build your roster, do you empower Trevor to kind of speak his mind and let you know what he thinks about needs and what the team could want?
Absolutely. We want to have Trevor's input. He is our guy. He's the franchise. And as much as we can involve him in the process without maybe putting too much on his plate, he's a new father, now a husband. He's just getting into it. And, but he's hungry. He's hungry. He wants to be playing at the highest level possible. And how do we include him in some of those conversations, specifically with some of the skill players and obviously on the offensive line? So he will definitely be involved in some of that, while just being mindful of not putting too much on him, because he's going to be learning a completely new system and having to go through a new transition again.
You develop Baker. Can you compare Baker to Trevor, and what your process would be to help get in that next one?
Different player, right? A little bit of a different player, but when you look at the experience of kind of pivoting in a developmental stage, where Baker was at a pivotal moment after he left LA in 22 and went to Tampa in 23, right? I thought Dave did a phenomenal job of really kind of onboarding him, getting his confidence back, allowing Baker to truly be himself. And then you get into, okay, the next year in the system, it's a similar one that Dave was running, so there was a little bit more familiarity there. The development of Baker will be different than Trevor. It just will be, because of the different type of player, but you see a lot of the same intangibles in terms of the work ethic, the he wants to be great, he wants to be coached hard, and the process. Like, how do we get him on a schedule, a process every single day that he can follow to get him to the point that he feels like he's playing at a higher level.
Coach, what can you say about Josh Lazard, and how do you think he's going to do?
Yeah, Josh is going to do a phenomenal job. He's got a really unique way about him to be able to connect with a lot of different people, coaches, players. He's got a great sense of humor, but he's up there in terms of the IQ, the football knowledge, the ability to see it, design it, and also be able to communicate it to the guys. I think he's primed for this. He's ready for this, and I think he's going to do a really nice job.
Some Rams ties between you, James, Shane Waldron. Just how much did that franchise really influence you guys and what you're wanting to build here?
Yeah, very much so. We all came up within that organization. I think there's a North Star that we are looking at in terms of how do we want to operate, right? Is it going to be identical? No. This is going to be ours. But we can take so many different things that we learn from there, from both personnel, scheme, people, the way that we talk to one another, the way that we communicate and treat one another. I think that those are kind of the foundational pieces that we took from LA. And then now, hey, how do we make it ours, and how do we put this thing all together to truly move forward? I really don't have a strong opinion, I'll be honest. I haven't had a ton of experience with it. It hasn't really affected me personally as a coach. It hasn't won or lost games for me. So I really don't have a strong opinion. I know that's out there. I know that's a conversation. Just haven't had a lot of experience with it and just don't have a huge opinion on it right now. He hasn't had the stability. That is something that, similar to Baker, you guys asked about in terms of that stability. It's important, but he's going to learn. He's learned so much from his different experiences, right? For good and for bad. and he can take those experiences to really dive into this new process. But I think what's critical is how do we get him to that standard and that structure and that schedule throughout his process once he gets here. So now we truly focus on him, not as much where he's been, what he's had. He can take and log those experiences, but now how do we create a little bit of sameness, give him a schedule? Hey, Mondays, this is what we want, look for your daily rhythm. Tuesdays within the season with third downs. As we start to move towards red zone, how do we kind of connect with him to have a schedule? I think that's the consistency that we're going to try to create for him.
VR training quarterback, but you're a former quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I actually had a not so positive experience with one. It was more just I ended up going into one at Kentucky and kind of got a little bit looped out while I was in there. It kind of made me a little physically ill. So it's cool though. I think it's to each his own. Really, I really believe that if that's something that's going to help our guys, then you want to make that tool available. We have the benefit of being kind of at the forefront of some of those things with TK, Tony Khan, and Shad wanting to be able to provide every opportunity that we can have. I don't have a very strong opinion on it, but I do think it's something I'd be open to for sure. We have kind of a virtual walkthrough room in Jacksonville that I've never had in any of the buildings I've been in. So I'm really excited about kind of being able to utilize some of those rooms, get into that for some of the VR training, but not maybe with the goggles on.
Putting together your staff, you went with a lot of younger guys, could have gone older. But what were the benefits of that? And then who do you lean on when you're in unfamiliar situations?
Yeah, hunger, want to. Guys that are trying to prove it, guys that want to, continue to ascend throughout the profession. I think that we have plenty of experience to get this thing done. I believe in the staff that we built. I got Sean McVay, I've got Kevin O'Connell, I've got a lot of guys that we can go and call in times of crisis that are going to be more than welcome to some of those conversations. And then, you've got experience throughout the staff, and we do have experience. We have a lot of guys that have been in the trenches in some really productive organizations. There's not one coach that we hire that didn't have another opportunity.
Wrestling fan, and have you had a chance to talk to Tony about that?
Actually, TK and I were just talking about this, a couple of days ago, just how that ended up coming for him. He was a fan of wrestling his entire career. I was an Ultimate Warrior fan, although I, did not look the part by any means. I was a fan. I have a ton of respect for it. It's entertainment. It's athleticism. He's got a strong passion for it, and I just hope it continues for him. I know they just signed a new deal, I think, or something to be able to kind of get some more buzz. But it seems like it's going in the right direction. I'm excited for him. No, absolutely not. My time's well past.
Okay, 2 more quickies.
Say it again. It's what you said. It's the adaptability, right? We will have a core foundation and principles of how we want to, operate, right? Our modes of operation, the way that our culture is going to be set, the non-negotiables, right? That's the foundation of what we believe. But like I've said in multiple different conversations, it's about players, not plays. Right, we will have the core principles and how we want to play, our style of play, but ultimately it's our job to pivot and be able to adapt to players, especially when it comes to the draft, because you want to be able to fill your holes, but also take the best players available, and it's our job to be able to adapt to some of those players.
What attracted you to Shane? What was exciting about Shane Waldron for you?
Yeah, so Shane got me into this profession. Right, so Shane was somebody that Sean McVay leaned on heavily when he took the first job in LA. That was one of his first hires, and brought Shane there. Had unbelievable experience, obviously working in New England in prior years. Has won Super Bowls. Has been at a high level for a long time. He's got a great kind of overall big picture, all 11, extreme kind of situational football ideas going from, Coach Belichick and the Patriots system. He'll be great for a big picture ideas and be able to, hey, how do we tie in some of these things? And also some of the developmental pieces within the coaching staff.
Worried about anything that happened in Chicago last year?
Zero.
The transfer portal and NIL has affected players' NFL readiness as they come in.
I don't know if it's the readiness, but it's definitely something we have to be aware of. right? It's not going anywhere, and it's absolutely something that we have to be aware of when it comes to how do we onboard our players. The individual development program that we have, whether it's through strength, the athletic training, the coaching staff, the personnel, it's the onboarding process that we have to be really detailed about and make sure that we're vetting the right players, right? Why did they move? Why were they going from place to place? A lot of guys are just trying to climb and go get better for themselves. So it's more about the onboarding process and really kind of how do we evaluate these players, not more so where they've been. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, guys.